From Kansas State University, this is Agriculture Today, and I'm Charlsie Craig. A new pest threat to Kansas grain sorghum is approaching, and it's called Sugarcane Aphid. Sugarcane Aphid is fast-spreading and causes serious problems. K-State Research and Extension entomologist J.P. Mashaw talks about the aphid's history.
It has a history going back quite a few years in Florida, but on sugarcane. What we think is presently causing the trouble in the sorghum is a different introduction of the same aphid species. And so this one is actually very aggressive on sorghum. It's a very high rate of reproduction.
Mashard expands on how to identify the aphids.
Nymphs, the little baby aphids as they're born, are almost white. They're very pale. As they get older in the warm weather, they're going to be yellow, and they're going to have short black little cornicles, like two little tailpipes on the back of the aphid. And so they're quite distinctive. You're not going to mistake them for any other kind of aphid.
Sampling is a first and major step to figuring out treatment for this aphid. Mashard now explains how to sample it correctly.
When you're at risk, or if you're finding aphids, the sampling has to be done twice a week. You have to go out there quite repeatedly because these things can double every 4 or 5 days under warm weather conditions. The aphids tend to begin first on the undersides of the lower leaves, especially if it's hot because they'll be a little cooler down there. But you could find alates, the winged form, settling almost anywhere on the plant. It kind of depends on the vigor of the crop and the stage of growth of the plant, but we're looking at anything from 50 to 125 aphids per leaf would be a treatment threshold. Now, keep in mind that you're supposed to do the following. You're supposed to look at the lowest green leaf on the plant and then the uppermost green leaf on the plant, and you average the number of aphids on both of them. You do that on 10 plants, and you do that in 2 different places in the field. And if you've got a number that ends up being between 50 and 125 aphids per leaf, then you're justified in going in with an application.
Recently, the significant infestations were found in Noble, Kay, and Grant counties in Oklahoma, which is right on the Kansas state line.
The infestations in the counties closest to the border are as yet not economic. So that means that they're forming from winged aphids arriving from further south. They're settling and they're beginning to reproduce. And it is not until those populations get out of control and overrun the plants that we'll have more winged aphids produced that will have the potential to be carried on the winds up to us.
If you think you might have infestation or need recommendations for treatments, you can contact your local Extension agriculture agent. That was K-State Research and Extension entomologist J.P. Mashaw. I'm Charlsie Craig, and this has been Agriculture Today over the K-State Radio Network.